snow scenarios where you can't preserve that week no matter what, right? We have 6 snow days, we're not preserving that week, because we're not going to have 178 days of school, we're not asking to stay for that.
No exception.
Yeah, but yes, we would preserve that week as long as possible if that included forgiving a day. Right now we only have 1 day.
So that would be on the table, so it could end
And
up.
if we had 2 snow makeup days, it means it would be the 3rd snow event would be the freebie instead of the first one. That'd be the difference. And it's not a hill either way for me, I just want to know what you thought, because it's the one piece of the calendar, when I read it, I go, it seems counter to, right, school's kind of what we do.
Yeah.
But,
You're a good egg, Dr.
How do you feel? You got this.
Is he allowed to have
Have you reached your quote, your time on the board yet to share your opinion? Just kidding.
he did it to you.
I'm only kidding. So just in theory, say, okay, now, so you said that one would be, if it ended up being only one, that would push it in and you would forgive. That's correct.
Forgive before we push.
I'm a little worried about the amount of snow we're gonna get. Stop looking at the farmers on it now.
Yeah, the big
Okay?
Do we have a consensus one way or the other?
No, do it right now.
We'll make a recommendation.
Okay.
There you go.
I heard that, I was like,
Because
wait.
we still need to hear from the parents,
Yeah.
we have parent advisory to hear
Yep.
from,
Yes.
we have the union to hear from, so
Right.
we have other, we want to get your feedback first, but.
Correct.
I think it would be
Okay.
palatable when they know that it would be forgiven if it was the only, if it ended up being the only adoption.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have not used our freebie this year, right? We haven't had it yet.
Sherry said
Where
it's
is
coming
the
up. February, March.
All right.
And so
Correct,
that's-
we have not, and this year's calendar
January.
does, we've missed our first snow makeup day, or we passed that, because we had one in December that we didn't even use. We have 2 snow makeup days still in the calendar, the freebie and 2 snow makeup days would give us 3 days before we have to touch the last day of school, which is currently Tuesday. So we have 6 snow days before we have to go to the following week. So we
Not
don't need that many.
Any other public comments? Okay, all right. And our activities.
Take a break, do we? Is that very true? We'll go right into curriculum, no public, and then, so, let's come to our first agenda item. The update to the elementary STEM.
I really have to do the voting.
Come sit with us.
Come on down.
Sit over here, maybe. Are you giving me mouse control?
Uh-oh.
Ooh, mouse control. Good evening. Delighted to give an update on the status of our new elementary STEM program.
We work?
Click it. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
So, I don't know if you recall, but we laid out the units of our STEM design for the year. So Unit 1, we started with literacy-based engineering. We are currently in the midst of Unit 2, which is the coding and robotics. We'll be moving into Unit 3, digital design, right around the start of the 3rd marking period, maybe like a week or so into it. And Unit 4, which is structural design, is still under construction, but we have a really strong framework for that and are excited about how we're going to wrap up this first year experience for our students. Literacy-based engineering is what it sounds like, as is coding and robotics. For digital design, since we don't quite have the machinery that we have in the middle school program, like the laser cutter and things like that, we're focusing on presentation and communication skills. So students are using their different resources that they're learning in the coding unit and a lot through literacy, and they're going to take topics from their general ed classrooms. So whether it be something that they've read or math problems that they've done, other things that they've identified in their current course of study, and present on them in the various grade levels. So the one I think I'm most excited about is 5th grade, because we put an entrepreneurship twist on it. And so students are going to explore, different career options, and then they're going to present in a pseudo Shark Tank-like environment. Again, using a little bit of green screen technology and storyboarding and, some of the different things. They're going to make iMovie and just really kind of showcase what they're learning in the different engineering components. So we're excited to see where that goes. All the grade levels have something cool like that. 2nd grade has kind of an exploratory, places I've been and landmarks I've seen from around the world. So they're going to kind of map their progress and share their stories as they go. For the structural design, we're looking to have just a culminating activity that really ties in the first 3 units. Again, drawing on those, skills and that prior knowledge, and really pulling it together through more of a global problem-solving lens. Tackling a real-world issue that's out there and seeing what our students can come up with. They've already started to do that. So in the first unit, and 4th grade especially, instead of just engineering a house, they were actually given a task to say, well, your house has a flat roof and you live in a village that needs water. They don't have well water, they don't have natural, water source, no lakes, rivers, etc. You have to harvest and collect the rainwater, and then, pretty much make it available for treatment for use in your household. And they were pretty awesome and clever about how they came up with those designs. Apologize for the small font here, but just a overview of our current resources. So obviously we have some literacy, plenty of consumable items, most of which were donated. So all those paper towel rolls and pipe cleaners and craft sticks, etc. You name it, they use it. Inordinate amounts of tape and masking tape. That's been the #1 request. We need more tape. Right now they're, along with the other classrooms, are using Ozobots in a big way. So just coding through the markers, but also through Ozoblockly, where they can, program the robots to follow a particular course. Same thing with the Spheros. They had a lot of fun, not only driving those, but programming them to navigate an obstacle course that was taped out in the classroom. There's a lot going on with code.org, so they're learning coding and programming skills through that platform. We have some folks that are exploring Scratch and Scratch Junior, which is an application for your iPad, and again, explores coding in a little bit more detail, like a whole nother level. We have the Osmo Genius Kits, and of course, we utilize the services of the Mobile Fab Lab in Siler in September, and is visiting Bedminster this spring. So that's currently what we have going on, but we have a lot more on the way, so things to come. Thanks to the IU and our partnership with them, we have access to Define STEM, which is a really powerful resource. They're just hands-on and application-based projects that are really career-oriented. Every single one of them starts out with a short video clip of a professional in a field talking about what they do and how they got there, and kind of what a typical day is like when, I get to investigate shipwrecks every day. What do you do? So that sort of thing. It's really, really neat and powerful. 100% customizable, so you can use the resources that are there. Put in different ones that we have or that we like. You can kind of pick and choose and tailor it to what we would utilize best with our students. We have some Dash robots. We're finding that these are really kind of ideal as a stepping stone between the Ozobots and the Spheros. So for 2nd and 3rd grade, this would be a nice addition. Just to expand upon the ones that we have and integrate them across the district. We're really looking to, in that structural design unit, integrate more of our United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So again, more of that global sense, that global awareness and problem solving, not only just locally within your own context, but things that affect all people around the world. We're going to continue, of course, to accept any and all donations that come our way, because we've been finding that consumables really are consumed rather quickly, and we're going to tap into more of the resources that we're just finding out there. So EIE.org is another group that partners with the BCIU. It's Engineering is Elementary. They have a ton of curriculum resources that we're going to look to coordinate some professional learning opportunities for our teachers on. So Dr. Rabarchik and Dr. Scheid can attest to the fact that we have been working diligently and very hard on putting together a thorough, detailed, nitty-gritty, advancing grant for the PA Smart initiative. We can apply for a maximum grant of up to $500,000. We're pretty close. What is it, 494, 900, something?
Add more to that.
We're taking-
What about the tape?
Yeah, we can probably get another $95.55 in matching. But we're just looking to expand upon, what we have and take it to the next level. A lot of the funds are allocated towards professional learning and professional growth. That is one of the earmarks and probably, priorities of the PA Smart grant itself, is to just improve educator expertise and the ability of districts to be self-sustaining in terms of advancing their own programs. So we're really put a lot of emphasis there. Because as we all know, technology and resources are ever evolving and ever changing. It's hard to keep up with everything. But what you learn and the strategies that you can use seem to persist a little bit better. So we will get that submitted by the deadline on Friday, and just have a couple last little details to polish off.
Just out of curiosity, does the grant ask for endorsements from the private sector?
Yes. So one of the sections in the grant is actually partnerships. So what partnerships we have currently, which ones we are seeking to get, and they're actually asking for letters of support from our current partners from all sectors, the educational sector,
Okay.
business, industry, economic, workforce development, you name it, they want it represented from as many fields as possible.
Okay.
Could
So-
we use any additional letters?
Absolutely. The sense
should
that
speak to
we're
Mr.
getting
Cormack
from.
about that. You should speak to
Seems
Mr.
to know
Cormack
some,
about
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He seems to know something.
He knows.
I still haven't figured it out.
The sense that we're getting from reading the application materials is kind of the more the better in terms of partnerships. So, we have the educational realm pretty well covered, but we will absolutely.
No, the reason why I'm asking is just the fact that there's a lot of industry out there, the industry base within the school district
Absolutely.
is having difficulty looking at bringing in new job positions.
Hmm.
So they need a way to be able to say to themselves, we're providing support for those new job
Right.
positions that we're trying to create,
Right.
and
Right.
this is our labor force.
Awesome.
So that's what I would think, would be really positive.
Cool,
You
can we
get-
get letters by Friday?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. Don't give me a lot of time to get it together.
By Friday.
They do need it by
If we
Friday.
send you a form letter, can you get them to fill it?
Do you have a form letter? Is something
I have a letter that we were provided by an organization that we're not partnering with, Apple, that we could modify and put it out. and-
Can you send that to us? Thank you
Sure.
for the applicable to the UN.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
If your UN
Done.
goals.
Sustainable development goals?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You just got it.
So maybe
Gonna
the
do it.
planning commission could,
That's true.
if you have a copy, have
Oh,
a meeting
Okay,
Wednesday.
all right.
Two.
Two.
I have one too.
right there.
3.
How many more letters do you want? I need
I'm assuming it's very competitive. Do you know what the total grant dollars are from the Commonwealth on this one?
They can give up to $20 million.
Wow.
So
20 minutes.
there are
That's
two
a lot of
levels.
tape.
That's 40.
That's a lot of
That's
tape.
40 grants.
No, heck, the
40
tape.
full grants, right, 40
Yes.
full
Oh,
allocations.
you'll give people partial.
They
grants,
can.
not the whole
Oh.
enchilada.
That's
Yeah,
40.
it's not an all or nothing
40.
type
Oh,
of
well,
thing.
that's actually good
It is
then, because
It is.
that makes more.
Makes it more, realistic for us to receive some funding in terms of the grants. There are the two levels of the grant. The one was the targeted grant, which we qualified for last year. And because we received those funds, we were not allowed to apply for that. That's only $35,000, so in comparison, we'd rather apply for the larger sum anyway to really help us grow our programs. So, yeah, we're at like 494 and 908, 40
Mr. Kraft should be able to get a letter.
Yeah, how about it, Bill?
In the meantime, this table got a letter.
Not to have any pressure, I mean,
You
how
just
much
throw it
tape?
out.
A lot of backup, all kinds of opinions coming out of them now.
Oh, no, I know.
Is it Max?
I know.
Yes, let him decide. Preferable.
Not the blue.
Oh, we'll take any shape.
Okay.
You know, and of course, we just wanted to showcase some of our students in action. So, you know, some of the favorite moments in the stories that we've been hearing is how excited the students are when they get to test their designs. And they're not even remotely concerned anymore if it'll work or it won't work. They just want to try it.
Yeah.
And they're almost more excited to go back and make revisions and test it out again, which was not the case when we first started. They were too worried about having it just be perfect and right, and now you know, the design process is just really kind of taking over. There was a fun story from around Thanksgiving time in a first grade classroom where they were reading a story about a turkey and they had to help the turkey escape the town so that he wouldn't be, you know, slaughtered for dinner. And in the past, the teacher said, you know, they'd always just kind of cleverly come up with some ways, but now they were talking about, we can build a prototype and we can design an escape route, and you know, they were using the language from our design book, which was pretty awesome. And then obviously there's you know, the bug dance was a little coding activity, so there they are working as a team, and one of the teachers, I don't know about this short, she actually had her students enact the bug dance, which really is a coding activity, so they plug it in, you know, what they want their little bug to do on screen. But here she had them do it in real life, so they were basically doing like the electric slide. No luck, yeah, there it is. Hello.
All watching past me.
Bunch of stars.
They were using the mouse. There. They were reenacting what the bug looks like on the screen. So they were powered down at this point.
Did you say that's Jack?
In the blue.
Oh.
Yeah, his head zipper.
Playing with the zipper.
Down.
Oh.
Steps to the right. One hop forward. One hop backwards. Turn right. Two steps to the left. Two steps to the
You gotta
right.
remember which way that is.
One hop forward. One hop backward. Turn right.
So what's neat about this is they did it in real life first, and then they coded, you know, their bug, their robot to do it after that.
One hop forward. One hop backward. Turn right. Two steps to the left.
So
Jack's got no desire to do this, does he?
not much of a dancer.
No. Look at her mother.
Turn right. Sleep mode.
That's the best.
Sleep mode.
Oh my word, that is so.
If that worked all the way around. Okay, cool.
That's great.
So, I mean, I think one of the most exciting things that we've been experiencing with our teachers is they are like sponges. They want to learn anything and everything that's out there, and they're just willing to try all of it. So we really have a good group to work with at the elementary and middle school levels. You know, they're really a phenomenal bunch who really want the best for our students and are going to take us, I think, where we want to go with our STEM program. So, any questions about where we are, where we're headed, or anything like that?
It'll come to me later.
Well, I have two thank yous and a story to tell. One, I just want to thank you because it's been interesting being in the classrooms and just watching that in every classroom you go into, not only are the kids active in terms of what they're doing, but the activities are always either curriculum or literature or both based. And so it's just been neat to watch kids interact that way with what they're doing in their third grade classroom in science or in math or whatever. Sometimes it's our choice and sometimes it's their choice, like you said, in terms of that piece. At my opening parent advisory, I had the parents go around and introduce where their students were, their own children, and give one story from the beginning of the year. So I have 2 representatives from every elementary school, so I have 14 parents from elementary buildings that are representing. 11 of the 14 told a story about STEM, about their child coming home and just something they had done, because they were just to tell something about from the beginning of the year that went well and that they were happy about. And it was just neat. I mean, I know some of it's new, but it just was really, really exciting to see an idea and that spark and that motivation of, hey, let's try this, let's do this, and to see it impact kids and their parents who, you know, felt positively about it. So thank you to you and to the group of wonderful teachers that you're working with for this, because it's really been significant across the district. So thank you.
I think I actually like how you were saying that technology changes and so it's hard to keep up. But I actually think the donated goods aspect of it is even better, because we all say that the kids spend too much time with their devices anyway, so now we're going back to the old days of what we used to do, and building stuff, you know, and
I'll tell you, the excitement they have when building out of cardboard and using masking tape. I mean, you know, they were wasting the
It's all
tape.
tape.
What is this?
That in and of itself, you're right, it was cool.
Yeah, we can't put things in the recycling bucket. We have STEM projects going on at home, so. I can always tell when it's STEM day in school, because he comes home and he's picking through the trash and taking my tape, so. It transfers home as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, mouse and the keyboard. So back to you.
It is, but I'm not using any presentation. Sharing some information.
So our update on the adolescent sleep and start times.
So just some information regarding where we stand with everything that we've started so far. Obviously, the initial feedback community survey was distributed to the community, to staff. It closed on December 6th, and we had 1,967 responses. So very good in return in regards to the responses. Of those responses, 468 individuals expressed interest to serve on the district committee.
Wow.
There's a lot of interest in wanting to serve on the committee. We are going to narrow that down to 40. Somehow, some way, it's getting there.
10%.
But we are actually just about there. It's going to be made up of staff, students, parents, business owners, community members. I think we have a good mix, but invitations it's anticipated that invitations to those individuals will go out by the end of this week. And we're looking to hold meetings on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, and we're going to start hopefully this January 22nd for our first meeting. With that said, it will be a good lead into, we are going to have a presentation, as you heard, through announcements that Callie has put out so kindly, is the presentation at the high school on January 29th of Dr. Kloss and Dr. Swain, who are both in the field of adolescent sleep, and Dr. Kloss is also very familiar with school start times and in those studies. So they will be presenting here on the 29th. As I said, there will be student assemblies, there will be after-school staff sessions for questions and answers, and then there'll be the evening presentation for any and all community members. And then the following month in February will be the time that we distribute the student sleep habit survey to students in grades 7 through 12 to get a better understanding of where they stand with their habits of sleep and what's affecting them overall between sports, homework, jobs, everything that is involved in their life. How does that impact their actual sleep and understanding it better? And then also the county, through the Bucks County Intermediate Unit, had administered a survey to the districts, just asking who's involved right now in discussions of sleep survey or sleep and later school start times. Of the 12 that responded, 8 are currently looking at later school start times or adjusted school start times. So we're not alone, there's a lot of discussions among the different districts, and we will continue to have those discussions, so. But, Pastor Brown, we already have, what did I say, about 140 people registered already, just for this event,
That's amazing.
which isn't bad, since we just set it out on Friday, was it?
That's for the 29th.
Yeah.
Pardon?
January
29, January 29. So,
What time is the meeting on the 22nd?
the 20th, I haven't set a time yet,
Okay.
but we're gonna see what works best. It's more than likely gonna be an evening meeting, like a 6:30 to 7:45 kind of time frame. Just to accommodate, people who are working and students to get done with their activities.
You know,
Did they discuss anything about weighted blankets?
I'm sure it'll come up as part of
I'm-
discussion.
I'm really serious.
Yep, it will come up as part of discussion.
Okay, good. Well, I use that for my son.
Yeah,
I did,
there's a local woman that makes them.
It's actually, we've had it now since Christmas. And Adam has Down syndrome, he's 31 years old. But he loves it, he gets in bed, throw this 20-pound blanket on him, and out he goes.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how effective it is.
Well, my sister just got one from the woman who makes them locally, and that's.
Well, I highly recommend them. My son is an Asperger's person and he's away at college and he has one at his bed. So sometimes when he's having stress, he just retreats to his bed and uses the blanket and it just really helps him center.
Yeah, it actually, it's a calming device.
Yeah.
And it allows them to get a better night's sleep from a REM standpoint than just, because he'll wake up in the middle of the night and have conversations with himself.
Well, definitely one of the parts of the study is to look at what's available to help students improve their
Okay,
sleep
good. All right,
hygiene as
great.
well,
That's excellent.
not just changing the times.
Yes,
Right.
good.
Any other questions, comments?
So the next curriculum committee meeting is February 3rd. And still no public comment. I just did want to mention that, when that Rise and Grind opened up in Percy, there were several people there when I had gone up, and so one of them is Steve Barth, the guy that's like the
Yeah.
Percy.
Yeah.
And so it was him and some other women, and the woman's name is not coming to my mind. But however we got on the topic, she's very interested in having partnerships with our, Dr. Dormer was talking about the partnerships for STEM. It made me remember that she's very interested in having our students, offering to our students to use the per diem space, letting them have study groups there or, whatever, and then maybe also doing like little internships. So I know I could get back in touch with her through Steve, but I did also ask her to send in a few.
And she's the owner of Rising.
No, she's not. She's one of the per diem women, and her name is not, it's not,
Teresa?
maybe it could be a T. But I know that I could get, no, she doesn't, it's longer and like curly, but I know it's like colored. So, but Steve will know who was at the table with us. Oh, and Joe came over then too. Joe Ferry had come over at a point, so he would probably remember too. But Steve Barth, if she doesn't contact you, I can